Dude, is it just me or is the BTR looking thicker than usual? What is up, brothers? Today, I'm gonna be talking to you guys about a little something called artifacts. But these aren't artifacts for Into the Radius 1, of course. They're for Into the Radius 2. What are artifacts? You're probably thinking, oh, I've heard of that before. Maybe they're talking about Egyptian artifacts. No, I'm not talking about the fucking Egyptians. We're talking about borderline radioactive, supernatural objects that can only be found in the most treacherous of places. They're basically just little pieces of treasure out in the Radius. At least for the most part, that is how they are used in Into the Radius 1. I find an artifact only to either complete a mission or to make some fat fucking stacks. These babies go for a pretty penny. But for the most part, you know, we don't really use artifacts in Into the Radius 1 other than selling them for that sweet fucking cash, or we just retrieve them so that we can progress further into the game. So honestly, sometimes, you know, artifacts can just be a thorn in your ass. Oh hey, some sparklers. But in Into the Radius 2, the developers said that they're going to be actively trying to give artifacts a much bigger part in the game. And this includes ways in which explorers can interact with artifacts in Into the Radius 2. We cannot just walk around the Radius without sparking up a cigarette. Let's be honest here. You all know it, I know it, your mom knows it, grandma knows it, the family dog knows it. Artifacts in Into the Radius 2 are obviously going to have somewhat similar of a role to artifacts in Into the Radius 1. Specifically, they're going to be worth a lot of money still. So during early access, primarily we're going to be using artifacts to sell or progress through missions. So in that way, artifacts in Into the Radius 2 aren't going to be all that much different from artifacts in Into the Radius 1. But in Into the Radius 2, the way that artifacts are going to be a little bit different. They're going to be a significant source for player enhancements, and this is probably going to bring a lot of variation and customization to the gameplay of Into the Radius 2. Bro, this BTR will not get off my ass. Here he is. But besides that, you know, artifacts are going to be pretty similar. Not a whole bunch is changing system-wise between Into the Radius 1 and Into the Radius 2. I still hate the BTR. I hope it's not coming back. I can't remember if the devs said that we're getting the BTR in Into the Radius 2 or not. Let's smoke another cigarette and get into some other stuff. Alright, bud. So one thing I'm going to critique a teeny bit, alright, is that when it comes to missions, artifacts are still going to be the main thing that you are looking for. Apparently missions are going to revolve around artifacts, but if I'm being honest, I would go crazy for some type of mission that revolves around trying to figure out more stuff about a specific entity, researching entities, and researching some of their backstory, maybe some of their lore. I would dig that so hard if we could have more mission variation. Oh shit, BTR incoming. Oh fuck! Oh my god, that was a close call. But anyways, yeah, I would love that, man. Way more variation in missions if they weren't all just kind of based around an artifact or an item. It would be fun to go research stuff. A lot of the missions that we do in Into the Radius 1 are basically just object retrieval. So my big piece of input would be that I would love to have some missions in Into the Radius 2 where it's my job to go out and research entities or anomalies a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we get a map that we have to take out on a mission and we go to a specific area and we like map out what routes the moving anomalies take or some shit like that. Just something different to what we've already been doing with artifacts. General just object retrieval missions, they get a little old. Let me know what you guys think about that. What kind of missions do you want to see in Into the Radius 2? In Into the Radius 1, artifacts definitely still played a role in enhancing or affecting the experience of players, but it was only a couple of them. But in the sequel, the Into the Radius devs are taking artifacts way more seriously. There are going to be a whole range of artifacts added that directly affect the player's experience in the game. Specifically, each artifact is going to have one positive effect and then a couple negative effects. But these negative effects, we're gonna be able to get rid of them using that cool little ash mechanic that I talked about in past dev diaries. So basically you're gonna be able to get the artifacts, all right, find one that you fucking love, the positive effect of it. Maybe it's got some bad negative effects and you wanna get rid of those. Go collect some ash around the radius, and then there's going to be a station back at your base where you can deposit that ash and use it to strip your artifact of all of its negative effects. And honestly, dude, I could see this being used in a ton of different ways. Maybe one of the artifacts gives you a double jump, bro. I know a few of the examples that the devs gave were increasing your maximum health or increasing the chance that a bullet like bounces off of you when you get shot. That could spice up people's different playthroughs. And dude, the Into the Radius community is huge on doing little challenge runs through the Radius. So that's gonna make doing speed runs, challenge runs in Into the Radius 2 insane, dude. Coupled with modding, and Into the Radius 2 is set to be one of the greatest VR games to release this year. The positive effects of artifacts are going to be passive perks, but among those effects are going to be a permanent effect. So, for example, plus 10 maximum health. And then there are going to be other semi-active perks, kind of bundled up with that permanent perk. These semi-active perks are going to be like that example I gave, where maybe there's like a 10% chance that when you get shot, the bullet ricochets off of you. It's not going to be something that happens all the time and is constantly active, but there is going to be a chance that that perk will pop up and potentially save your life. But there aren't going to be any special perks that a player can activate just by clicking a button or something. Nothing like that. It's pretty much just going to be these permanently active perks and then semi-active perks that kind of just show up whenever the hell they want to. If you could pick a couple of perks, what would they be and why? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear about this because I have an opinion, dude. I want increased carry capacity and increased speed. That would probably be my favorite duo because it means that not only can I loot more by having an increased carry capacity, but I can loot way quicker because I have increased speed. So let me know what kind of combo of perks would you guys want for an artifact. And I know that I already said artifacts can be used to completely change the game when it comes to doing challenge runs or speed runs in Into the Radius 2. But more specifically, the reason that artifacts in Into the Radius 2 are going to be playing such a big role is because this gives players an additional tool to customize their own build for Into the Radius. And basically your build consists of like the vest you're wearing, your backpack, your helmet, weapons, and then obviously now we're going to have artifacts to help enhance that build. Artifacts can either be used to strengthen your build and kind of compensate for the shortcomings that you have, or you can just use it to improve your overall quality of life in the game. But how do you even use artifacts? Do you just carry them around in your backpack, put them on your belt? What's the deal with artifacts? From what I have heard, we're going to have a special 3-slot glove where you can put the artifacts and basically just equip them. And I'm actually extremely excited about that because this is what the artifacts look like. Look at that, dude. Imagine installing something like that into your glove and then just having it there because it looks sweet. Like, you actually have to be shitting me. That is amazing, dude. So artifacts are playing a really big role in Into the Radius 2. Not only are they going to change and impact gameplay, you're going to be able to use them to probably design and pimp out your glove, dude. I cannot wait for that shit. It's gonna look dope. And this is some pretty crazy news. Apparently, artifacts in Into the Radius 2 aren't gonna just be found the same way as Into the Radius 1. All artifacts are going to spawn inside of these things called nests. Each nest is going to be a container of sorts, which requires you to complete a specific action in order to get the artifact from the nest. And I guess when we are like looking for these nests, our detectors are going to be reacting to the nests. They're not reacting to the artifacts. So once we find the nest, break it open, do whatever the hell it takes to get the artifact out of it, our detectors will promptly stop beeping. Nests in Into the Radius 2 are going to be divided into 3 different types. The first type is basically you can use your bare hands to retrieve the artifact from the nest. You literally just grab the artifact out of the nest. That is type 1. Type 2 requires you to have some type of equipment to unlock the nest. It usually should be something simple and commonly held by an explorer. For example, a lighter. It could also be something like a nest that needs to be broken open using a grenade. And the third type of nest is going to be a nest that is invisible to the naked eye. You need to have your detector in order to find these nests, and it can only be found using a detector's flash. We've all done this before. This is basically how you find every single artifact in Into the Radius 1. These nests aren't just going to be located in anomaly clusters either. They're going to be located throughout the radius. But of course, the artifacts that are the most valuable, the ones you really want, those are going to be in the most treacherous, fucked up anomaly clusters humanly possible. And I cannot say that I am surprised about that. That's just how it goes in the radius, boys. As we progress through Into the Radius 2, the amount and variety of nests that we encounter should start to increase. And basically, this is just to allow even more customization and our ability to use artifacts in an interesting and diverse way. The developers have even conducted some playtests already, and they say that these different types of nests are looking pretty awesome, and they have some extremely high hopes for this entire idea. At the start of early access for Into the Radius 2, there's only going to be one type of nest, and there aren't going to be any enhancement artifacts yet. There's only going to be artifacts that we can sell. All of the other features, Ash included, perks, enhancements, that's all going to be added in future development of the game, because this is just early access. So we're not going to have all of it at the start. I have a feeling, and the devs really hope, that this new and improved artifact system is going to be huge in Into the Radius 2 and really appeal to the players and the community. But naturally, things don't always happen like that, so the devs are 100% open to player feedback. If there's something about this new system that we don't like, once we actually get to start using it in Into the Radius 2, then naturally adjustments will be made based off of our feedback. Anyways, boys, that is the end of this little dev diary summary. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about this new artifact system in the comment section. And 100%, dude, tell me if you could pick a couple of perks to have on an artifact. What would they be? What would be your perfect artifact? Shout out to the boys. I appreciate you, boys. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing, or maybe just watch another video like this video if you enjoyed it. Go wishlist Into the Radius 2 on Steam, dude. It's coming out pretty soon. Have an amazing weekend, my dude, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.